So let me do the math for you real quick. 1,000,000 steps in 1 month is about 33,000 steps a day. 33,000 steps a day takes about 5.5 hours. And of course, you're probably wondering, why? Why would you do that? Well, I learned 5 things when I walked those 1,000,000 steps in 1 month. It was July 2015. Those 5 lessons endure today, and the answer to that question, why, is one of the 5 lessons. If you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Dave. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a licensed personal trainer. I'm a guy who loves walking as a fitness activity. You don't need 33,000 steps every day. You don't even need 10,000 steps every day. Fitness is hard. Getting started is hard. Sticking with it is even harder. And that's why I do a daily podcast, Walking is Fitness. Every day there's a brand new episode. Each episode is 10 minutes long. I record it while I'm out walking. The whole idea behind Walking is Fitness, the podcast, is to help you get started, to make a commitment, and to give you a little extra motivation to get out the door every day and begin pursuing fitness using walking. Love for you to join me tomorrow for another 10-minute walk. There's a link in the description below. So, 1,000,000 steps, 5 things that I learned. Number 1, I began using a Fitbit and counting my steps in January 2013. It was part of a fitness health initiative by my employer. They offered everyone a Fitbit free, and then they set up a competition, friendly competition. And that first month, Zig, one of my coworkers, walked 1,000,000 steps. He won the competition for that month. It was a monthly competition. And I've mentioned Zig in a previous video. But I noticed what he did, and it inspired me to do it. It took me 2.5 years before I actually got up the nerve to try, but I was inspired by Zig's example. So lesson number 1, you're inspiring others when you pursue fitness. People see how much you do, and that inspires them. But more than that, people see that you're doing it consistently, and that really is inspiring. So when you take a walk every day around your neighborhood, whether you realize it or not, people are watching, people see you, and they're inspired. So that's lesson number 1. When you pursue fitness, you're inspiring others. Lesson number 2, I had an idea how this 1,000,000 steps in a month was going to roll. I kind of figured that I would be real excited for the first couple of days, brand new adventure. This would be exciting, and I was going to attack this with all kinds of energy. I also knew that the last few days were going to be exciting as I was getting close to the finish line. That was going to be motivating to get out and to do some more. But I also had a feeling that all those days in between were going to be a grind. It was going to be hard. That's the messy middle. And that's where most of fitness takes place. Whether you're doing 1,000,000 steps in a month or simply making a commitment to walk every day for 10 minutes. It's exciting at the start, but that excitement eventually fades. And much of fitness happens in the messy middle. And so that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, when you're in the messy middle, you better have an answer to the question, why? Why are you doing this? Why am I doing this? 5.5 hours of walking every day is a lot. And I ask that question quite frequently. As I would head out in early afternoon, mid-afternoon, I've only got 15,000 steps. And by the way, only 15,000 steps. It just feels weird to say that, but in the context of needing 33,000, well, 15,000 was only. And I would be heading out and I would be asking the question, why am I doing this? I could stop right now and no one would care, because I didn't tell anybody other than my wife. Because I was spending so much time walking, she needed to know what I was doing. But nobody else, I didn't tell. So I could have stopped at any time and no one would have known. And so That question came up almost every day. Why am I doing this? Why am I spending this much time walking? The answer was, I wanted to do something hard. When I saw Zig get those 1,000,000 steps in January 2013, it struck me as that's a hard thing to do. Zig did a hard thing. I wonder if I could do that. And I have a history of pushing the easy button, not doing the hard thing. And so I wanted to prove to myself that I could do a hard thing. Walking 33,000 steps in one day is hard. Doing it for an entire month is really hard. And so every time I asked that question, why am I doing this? The answer was, Dave, you want to prove to yourself that you can do a hard thing. Lesson number 4, when I crossed that finish line, when I reached that 1,000,000 step goal, there was a feeling of accomplishment that endures to this day. When I wonder, can I do a hard thing? I look back on July 2015 and say, yeah, I can. I did 2.5 years of walking 20,000 steps every day. 1 year of that was a public commitment to launch the new walking blog that I started that eventually became the podcast. And before I considered making that commitment public, I already knew that I could do a hard thing. And so the satisfaction of having accomplished that goal endures to this day. But you don't need to walk 1,000,000 steps in 1 month. Every day that you open the door and get out and pursue fitness and keep your commitment, you're doing a hard thing. And at the end of every day, when you've kept that commitment, there's a feeling of satisfaction. And then lesson number 5, fitness. The pursuit of fitness will last a lifetime. But challenges like walking 1,000,000 steps in 1 month, they need to have an end date. I'm pursuing fitness to serve me. I don't want a challenge like walking a certain number of steps every day forever to start to define what I do and how I live. Challenges are good. They can add a little extra excitement, a little extra adventure, a little extra motivation when you're pursuing fitness day after day. But for me, those challenges need to have an end date. Instead, my pursuit of fitness is an intentional commitment to walk every day. I don't put a number of steps on that. I don't put a time limit on that. It's just the intentionality of pursuing fitness every day. If you have struggled with fitness, with making a fitness commitment that sticks, I invite you to check out the podcast, Walking is Fitness. Every day, new episode, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, and let's together build a fitness habit that lasts. Thanks for watching.